Hey DOOLigans, this is Mr. DOOLigan here. Welcome to another episode of Dishin with DOOLigan, episode 3. So now let's get started and let's see what went on today. So today was a pretty boring episode, especially for a Friday episode. I was kind of like let down today. It started off boring. Started off with Steve moving into his new pad, being very emo and playing his harmonica. Wah wah wah. Okay, big deal. Then we move on to Finn and Kayla. Finn's talking to Kayla about her might having to need surgery for her hematoma in her brain. So that's a good. That's going to be quite interesting. If she does go through with the surgery, then it's going to be with the whole healing thing, and then Finn's going to take care of her, and that's just going to play up to what I said before about, how she's going to probably fall for him. Um, and I don't know if anybody has been noticing, but Kayla's been like, watch the scenes and look at Kayla's eyes. She's looking at Finn up and down like a tall glass of water, and she just wants to take a huge drink of little Mr. Australian Finn there. I can't blame her. He is an attractive guy, a lot more attractive, in my opinion, than Steve. But yeah, just keep an eye on her, where she's looking at him, how she's looking at him up and down. So after we move on. Next scene goes to Nicole and Deimos, and Nicole is still in the Kyriakis mansion, and she starts getting a little bit more information out of Deimos about having him open up about Helena. And he does. He opens up how we find out a little bit more about her, how she was coming from a rich family, and that's why Victor was pursuing her in order to marry her and get her money and her power. And how Deimos was loving her just because of her. I mean, at least that's what he tells Nicole at first. Um, and Nicole's just like laying the groundwork of trying to seduce Deimos. And then eventually Deimos starts telling her a little bit more, and then opens up about how he was going after Helena because, we find out that he's like the bastard child of the Kyriakis family. And so they all come from the same father but a different mother. And how he was only going after Helena just to one up Victor. Because in comparison, Victor's full blood, he's a bastard child, so he was trying to better Victor, and Helena actually found out about that, but I guess after they talked about it, Helena actually forgave him. I mean, that's what Deimos said. So I guess there was some kind of love affair between them, and then when Victor found out about their affair, according to Deimos, that's when Victor had her killed. But we all see how she died. She tripped and fell and hit her head on a rock. But I think the real thing here is that Victor was the one that was blaming Deimos for her death. So that was a good little backstory, and we're getting to find out a little bit more about Helena, a little bit more about Deimos' backstory, which is kind of good because it's not just like he's just popping in and we don't know nothing about him. We're getting a little bit more backstory of him. So I think that's building his character and for us to understand him more as a character and what his motives are and why he's very upset about Victor. And then so after we move on to Rafe and Hope, they're at the Brady pub and they're talking over. Hope is telling Rafe about how she went over to the Kyriakis mansion for her fishing expedition, and which actually she caught a big whopper. I mean, Deimos told her everything. She's telling that to Rafe, and basically Rafe is like telling her like, "What are you gonna do with this information now?" So now Deimos is aware that Hope's gonna come after him, and so they just need to come up with a better game plan in order to trap him and to get all this information out. Now, while they were talking about how Deimos is the cause of Bo's death, and they went through that whole backstory, that storyline, and what was kind of getting at my goat, was that they were like, yes, okay, so Deimos did kidnap Bo, and yes, Deimos held him captive, yes, Deimos had him tortured, but they kind of like putting like Bo's sickness or this tumor, they're blaming Deimos for that because because Bo didn't get treatment for this tumor. It went on for a year and was untreated, so they're actually blaming Deimos for that. I don't know. I mean, you guys can probably tell me, did Deimos know about this tumor and was just like, we'll just not even worry about it. Just that we'll either kill Bo or let the tumor kill Bo. But I just found that a little uneasy that they're blaming Deimos for Bo's tumor being untreated. But they're fishing with their fishing expedition, so let's see what they catch. Next, we move on to Ciara and Claire. They're planning this whole '80s prom thing, which I'm excited about. I mean, me being a big '80s person, I'm anticipating to see what kind of music they play, what kind of clothes they wear. They're making fun of, I think his name was Mark, or I think what's his name, Mark. I don't know, one of the kids there, that he was wearing bell bottoms, and they're like, that's '70s, dude. That's not '80s. But I'm glad they checked them there. And then we cut back to Nicole and Deimos. And again, they're still talking about this whole, Victor finding out about the affair, yada, yada, yada. So that's still going on. And then we cut to Jade and Joey planning this whole runaway thing now. So they're running away from Salem. So now they're trying to decide where they're going to go. They're deciding if they're going to go to New York. They're going to decide if they're going to go to Chicago or Florida. And then finally they end up deciding that they're going to run away to LA. And Jade makes this funny little comment. She's like, I've always been told I had the looks of a movie star. I'm like, more like a porn star. So maybe that's what they're going to do. He'll be her pimp. She'll be the porn star in LA. So we're going to get a new porn star here in LA. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll do a little contest, see what her porn star name would be. And then we cut back to Steve, and all I have written here is emo. I don't know if anybody knows what emo means. It means emotional, very distraught, depressed, and, very like, And, they have him playing his harmonica, and so it's kind of like boring. So that's all I wrote, just was emo, and that's it. Because that's all Steve was doing this whole episode, was just, feeling heartbroken and sitting in the dark, playing his harmonica. I'm like, wow, wow, wow. Okay, move on. So we move on to back to Ciara and Claire and Mark. I guess they're one of their classmates. And basically, Mark is coming on to Ciara. And he's telling Ciara, oh, you look hot in those jeans. Oh, actually, you look hot in anything you wear. And he's coming on pretty strong to Ciara. And Ciara's like, okay, yeah, thank you for the compliment. And then basically he just wants to ask Ciara out on a date for later on that evening. And Ciara turns him down, and she kind of establishes something that was kind of happy to see that she established, saying that she's actually dating somebody, and she comes out saying that she's dating Theo. And then so Mark obviously is like, oh, kind of like, dump him, dump the zero, go with the hero kind of thing. And it was very 80s movie-like, because he was like, you don't want to be dating a loser like that. You want to come with me, blah, blah, blah. So I thought it was kind of funny how they were playing that whole 80s kind of movie scenario. And then so that started. And then we cut to back to Joey and Jade. And they're still talking about their trip to LA. And I don't know if anybody caught this. I don't even know if this was intentional. But with this whole 80s thing that they're going on, she kind of Jade made a comment how, let's go, how are we going to get to LA? And so she's like, let's take a bus. And Joey's like, no, I already did the whole bus thing when I went to go look for my dad in New York, blah, blah, blah. And then finally she's like, oh, well, we're not going to walk to LA. So it kind of reminded me of that song Walking in LA from Bow Wow. I think that's the group. So I thought that was kind of funny. And so basically they come to an idea that they're going to steal Steve's motorcycle, and that's how they're going to get to LA. So after that, we cut to Hope, Rafe back at the pub, and then in walks Steve. And, obviously he knows he's walking into some kind of conversation between Rafe and Hope. And, he kind of, talks to him about like, hey, how's it going? What's it going? He's trying to get out of the house or his pad so he can, because he's so emo. And so what's better yet to go to a bar. And so Hope and Rafe kind of tell him that they're talking about Deimos and what they're going to do. So I'm wondering if they're going to pull Steve into it and see if they can like grab him to be on their side. And, because him being from the ISA, he has some, insider stuff and connections. So maybe he can help them out, to bring down Deimos. And then so that was um, something that happened at the pub. Let's see what else. Oh, then we cut back to Nicole and Deimos once again. They're still talking in the Kyriakis mansion. Like I said, this day was kind of like meh. Um, so we see another flashback of Helena and Deimos eating grapes, having a picnic. He's talking about how beautiful she was and how much of a spirit she had. And then Nicole was like, "Okay, this is a good way for me to exit. I always want them, always having them want more." So she's like, "Okay, well, thank you. I'm gonna leave now." And as she's walking away, Damo stops her and actually confronts her and says, "Well, how much is Victor paying you to manipulate me?" So that was kind of like, whoa, and of course from there they cut to a commercial, so we're like left hanging. So they come back and we go back to Ciara and Mark, and they're talking about Mark is again coming on to Ciara, and he starts talking about Theo again. And of course, Theo overhears Ciara talking to him about how she's dating somebody and how Theo's the best guy she's ever met and how they're dating now. And she's basically defending Theo to Mark, and so obviously this kind of fuels Theo's love for Ciara, which is cute because, again, I have a special place in my heart for Theo. He's very great. And one of my favorite characters on Days was Lexi. So seeing her son on the show, and he kind of has her heart. I kind of see shades of Lexi there. Oh my God, I'm getting a little emotional. Sorry, Lexi was just a touching character for me. And when she passed away, it hit. I'm sorry. I'm getting choked up. Anyways, moving on. So, Joey. So next we move on to Joey and Jade, and so they go back to the house because they're gonna plan to steal Steve's motorcycle, and so they find the keys. And they're talking about them running away together and how they don't really know each other, and like Joey's like telling, well, you don't really know me, and she's like, well, we can get to know each other. And I'm like thinking in my head, like, yeah, she wants to know you biblically. And what happens next? They start taking off their clothes and making out on the couch. So that's a perfect setup for who to walk in. And that's exactly what happens. Steve Finn is telling Kayla, because apparently there was like some big old accident on the highway, so they were working together intimately, and Kayla's looking up and down on Finn like a tall glass of water, and then they're done, so they're gonna walk home. So Finn's gonna walk Kayla home, so make sure she's safe. And so in walks Kayla, catching Joey and Jade on the couch, and Joey kind of was throwing a tantrum. I don't know. I mean, it was kind of weird. Like, he's like, "Oh, Mom, you don't understand me, Mom, blah, 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 blah." And he kind of like stomps out. And it was just kind of weird. I was like, wow, that was kind of lame. But I don't know if I mean, I don't want to knock the actor, but I don't know if that's maybe just Joey's character. Like, he's just kind of like lame. I don't know. Because he is following Jade, like a pup. Like, she's like the puppeteer, and he's doing whatever she's asking him to do. Which is perfect for Jade, whatever her end game is. So then we cut back to like Steve talking to Hope and kind of endorsing her and Rafe's relationship. How he's giving her, saying, "Oh, this is why, I'm so glad you guys are talking, and this is why Bo left Rafe in charge of you, or to look after you, and we want to see you moving on, and blah blah blah." Again, Hope's always moving on, so let's see how this goes. I mean, again, I know everybody's kind of up in arms about Rafe and Hope, but let's just see where this goes. And then again, Steve being emo again, so just like, okay, so moving on. So after we cut over to Hope and Rafe, I guess Rafe's helping Hope move out of the Horton house because I guess she found her own place. And so they're packing up stuff, and all of a sudden Rafe finds this selfie stick that Julie gave Hope and starts making fun of her. And then all of a sudden they start taking selfies together. I mean, didn't just the other day I was saying that Steve should be taking selfies, taking a picture of his phone. So obviously they are living in in 2016, because there's a selfie stick there, so Steve can just start taking selfies now. Maybe Hope should lend him the selfie stick. So they start taking selfies silly, and Hope makes her duck face. She's all like that. So that was kind of hilarious to see her do that. um and then we move on to Henry and Claire. I mean, another boring storyline. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Claire. To me, she seems like a very boring character. I mean, they can spice her up a little. I mean, she's the granddaughter of Sammy. Give her some kind of spice, or she's just being lame like her father. Just being boring, dull, and not very much character there. I mean, yeah, she plays the guitar, a big whoop. But anyways, so that was kind of like a stupid interaction between Claire and Henry. How he was like, "Oh, if you move out of here, I want to be your promoter. Or I want to be your fan club." Blah blah blah. I mean, I don't know if that's setting up Henry having some kind of love for Claire, gonna probably be stalking her or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. And then we cut to Mark still coming on to Ciara. And he goes after, and he actually leans in and goes in for the kiss, like aggressively. And so that's not settling well with Sarah with the hole in her and Chase thing. So she's probably getting all these feelings of like anxiety in her. And so they cut away from that, and then they go back to the Brady's pub where Steve is still there. And Finn walks in, Finn, and Steve is asking Finn like, "Oh, how's Kayla doing?" And of course, all of a sudden they play the doctor-patient card. I mean, where was that when Marlena was talking with Abby? But anyways, so Finn was like, "No, doctor-patient confidentiality. I can't tell you. But all I'm gonna say is," and he kind of like threatens Steve a little bit, like tell him like, "You need to stay away from Kayla." So then after we walk in, and then we cut to Steve going down to Kayla's house, and he's like standing outside of Kayla's house, and he's kind of like peering in through her window and stuff like that. So he's kind of like stalking her. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know what that was all about. I mean, obviously he wants to go back and start talking to her, be back together with Kayla, but it was kind of weird. He was just like standing out of her doorway, peering in through her window. So then we come to the end of the episode, which I was up to this point, it was just boring. And I was like, what's going to happen? There has to be something. Are they going to end it on a lame cliffhanger, or is it going to be something good? Well, this was kind of okay. We cut back to the pub where Mark is totally like kissing uh, Ciara, and then Ciara pushes him off, and then in comes Theo, yanks him off, tackles the guy, starts punching him and attacking him, and just like starts laying into him, which was kind of exciting. But that's where the episode ends. So that's where they cut out. So that's was today's episode. It was kind of okay, kind of not, whatever. So let me know what you think about the episode. Leave your comments there on the bottom. If you want, you can tweet me at Mr. DOOLigan. Again, I'll answer any questions you have, or if you want to ask them in the comments below, or you can tweet me about it. I'm always active on my Twitter. I'll answer any question you guys want. So let me know what you think of the show. Again, it's still a work in progress, so I'm taking a lot of feedback from you guys. If whatever you guys want to see, what you don't want to see. I heard somebody did a hashtag Let Lucy Stay, so I don't know. Maybe I'll leave the door open so Lucy can come in here and make an appearance. So you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday. I might have a little bit of surprise for you on Monday. I don't know. I'm still working on the show right now and see what I can do. But again, you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.